Later.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It is 5 PM, October 6th, 2025. It's time to call the Board of Public Works and Safety meeting to order. Ms. Jones, roll call, please.
Mayor Barnett,
Present.
Mr. Austin,
Present.
Ms. Joe,
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Please stand for the pledge. All right, looks like we have a pretty decent room tonight, so thank you all for coming. Is there any announcements or public comments that does not pertain to the agenda? Hearing or seeing none, we'll go on to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda for the meeting minutes of September 15th Board of Works meeting and also the approval of claims.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
There's no old business. Go right into new business. Request to close Martin Place on October 31st, Halloween, from 4 PM to 9 PM. I don't see Eric Rose here. However, this is something that we do every year. It's a pretty nice event in our community, and we do need police there to help with traffic, and because it is such a big thing to happen there on Martin Place, and a lot of, like I said, a lot of traffic, a lot of kids. So, Chief, you're aware on what we do, of course, every year doing that, and it's been very successful, and I appreciate that. Brett, you probably take some barricades, cones, and help with that.
Yep.
So, with that explanation, I don't see any issues with doing this.
Make a motion to approve the request to close Martin Place from 4 PM to 9 PM on Halloween night, as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item, request approval to waive the building permit fee, which is approximately $70, and BZA filing fee, $200 for construction of an Eagle Scout project covered patio at Hillview Health, Carter Staley. Good luck, Carter. Your dad, I don't know, it's pointing against you already.
Hey, he's my neighbor.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you guys tonight. My name's Carter Staley. I'm 17 years old. I attend Center Grove High School. I'm a Life Scout in Troop 245, which is the step right before your Eagle Scout, which is the pinnacle, like the kind of peak of scouting. To achieve your Eagle Scout rank, you have to kind of direct and construct a project that benefits the community in some way. It can't be a scout organization or anything like that. So I couldn't do something for my church or for a camp or something like that. So I decided to partner with Homeview Health and Rehabilitation Center to construct a shade structure for their staff. Their staff, as of right now, doesn't really have a spot to take a break and, eat or anything outside of view of their patients. And it'll be beneficial for them to kind of have a separate space where they can not always be, they're still obviously on the clock, but they're not really within the eye. Tonight, I'm here to request the waiving of the building permit and Board of Zoning Appeals filing fees. It's just an extra fee that goes on top of what we already have to raise for the project.
What, can I just ask, what got you to choose Homeview Health?
So our troop is very good at reaching out and finding places that need this stuff. So I kind of looked at what was available, what was put before us, and thought that this most closely aligned with something I would want to do, just to help more people, kind of help the staff because I think if the staff are more unwinded and
He's my neighbor.
if the staff are more unwinded and ready to go back in and help, I think it'll benefit the patients that they're dealing with too.
That's good thinking. Any questions for Carter?
No, I think it's a great project, Carter. Thank you for selecting Homeview.
Thank you.
Very beneficial. I will move to approve the waiving of the building permit fee and the BZA filing fee for construction of the Eagle Scout project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Carter. It's been your benefit. Go.
Thank you.
Carter, if you
And you
don't,
can always mow my lawn, too, when you go by.
Carter, if you don't mind, if maybe you want to come back with some photographs or maybe give an overview of your project once it's completed, that'd be, if you're up to it,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Okay, next item. Request approval for the wastewater treatment plant expansion project agreement and notice to proceed for the selected contractor, Pace Construction, Bridget Ingram Wessler. You're not Bridget.
I'm not
That's
Bridget.
all right,
She's much
Gary.
more
You're-
pleasant than I am.
Okay.
So presenting
Go ahead, Gary.
tonight the construction agreement with Pace Contracting for the wastewater treatment plant expansion. And if that's approved, the notice to proceed. The agreement packet includes the agreement form, the certification of compliance with applicable law, performance bond, payment bond, and certificate, E-Verify affidavit, and the certificate of liability insurance. So all those are included, provided as the agreement packet. And then the notice to proceed will be effective 1 week from today, so that would be the start of the construction period, which is 730 days, which is 24 months to substantial completion, which means everything's up and running and in operation, and then 790 days to final completion, which allows them 2 months to finish up painting and paving and punch list items. Is there any questions?
Gary, I might give some context. We did close on the sewer bonds last week on it was Wednesday. Was it Wednesday or Thursday? They all, when we closed on the bonds and the money has been deposited into our account. Thursday. So the money is there. These documents that you are seeing, if they look familiar, they were actually part of the bid package that was approved. Oh, Gary, how long ago was that?
About 2 months.
It was been about 2 months. So
Right at 2 months.
before the bids go out, this package of things that are going to be expected of the contractor to sign is part of that package. So when Gary makes reference to bid package, that's where these documents were in there. So everybody knew when they were bidding on the project, these would be the things that are required. And we accepted a bid subject to obviously having the money, and we now have the money as of Thursday.
Was Wednesday. My
Was
bad.
it, I knew,
It was Wednesday. You were right.
they ran together. I don't know how we forgot about 40-some million
I don't
dollars,
know.
but yeah. But it was delivered, it has been deposited and secured in that regard. So with that, we can proceed. We've already selected the contractor subject to having the funding. So that's why it's back here again, but it does look somewhat familiar too, so.
Okay, and on the closing, the interest rate was 4.325512%, which was, I think,
Below the 5% we had anticipated, so.
yeah, so
That was a good thing.
we all felt pretty good about the interest rate. The contract is $26,689,000. So people may wonder, well, why are we getting $46 million? Because there's 2 other projects that we're getting ready to bid. One of them is a West Side Interceptor, which is out by the high school, which would head south and cross 31 into the sewer plant to give more capacity. This money will also be used for that. So that is why there is money there. The rates has already been established. And then I would just want to say that I know there's a few questions, and Tina probably has a few more, and that's great. The Pace Construction we haven't heard that name around here. However, they have worked in Indiana, and one of them happened to be in Shelbyville. and I stated this at an earlier meeting, that I had called the Shelbyville mayor to find out if there was any issues, any problems with the contractor, and it come back with good reviews, absolutely no issues. So
Good.
I did reach out and myself, and I know there were some other people that checked on them as well, so.
Yeah, I personally checked with 2 engineering firms who had done multiple projects, both recent and active, and they had nothing but positive to say, and checked with 3 other owners, being cities or towns. One of those was the Louisville MSD, Metropolitan Sewer District, and they all had positive things to say, so good reviews.
Gary, do you-
Excuse me,
sorry.
I'm sorry. Just like any other contractor, though, I always say this publicly, I'm going to put them on notice that change orders don't go over too well. So we're just putting on notice that change orders is not something we like.
You listening, Carter?
Gary, do you have any idea how much, like, efficiency and utilities and operating costs there will be with this new facility?
So the main things we look at are energy, which is mainly electricity, which should be reduced fairly significantly. Polymer costs will go up. They use polymer for the sludge dewatering, but we're getting rid of ferric sulfate, so that's going to go down. But sludge disposal is going to be considerable because we're changing the process. And the reason we changed that process was for 2 reasons. One is to expand the existing process, and to rehabilitate it was going to cost about $11 million. That would have been $11 million more. And it was also the source of some of the compliance issues that have taken place the last couple of years. So it's a different process. The negative is it produces more sludge, which costs money to dispose of. Overall, it's going to be a net increase in operating costs.
Is that-
But there will be some efficiencies in some of the new processes.
And I'd like to elaborate, because it's a great question. One of the questions when, and the council approved us going forward with the bond issue, because that's in their bailiwick, and we did all our projections at 5%, so we were thrilled to get it at 4.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
great.
we jumped on over, and that would be considerable savings, but in the process, we spent a lot of time together at the clerk treasurer's office and the mayor's office. There were numerous calls from the bond holders who, because those go out to bid. And so there are numerous phone calls that people who are going to take these bonds want to know. And one of the things they consistently wanted to know was, are you under an order to repair things? Are you under a compliance order? Are you under consent order? The answer is we were not. It made a big difference in rates, because if you're doing this because you're under some kind of an order from a government entity that you have to do it, then your rates are tremendously high. Having said that, we are trying to get ahead of it because the last big improvement, Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, on the process is, what's it, 40-something years ago, 30-something?
About 30.
30
Rick
years.
Littleton, do you remember?
Yeah, and-
About 1994.
And it was clear, given the monies that we were putting into the plant now, that if we didn't do something, that could happen down the road, not too far in the distant future. So getting ahead of the curve was a huge savings, if you will, and that's hence why the rates were adjusted previously by the council to begin building that bank, if you will. But that was a big concern from a financial standpoint, and making sure that we did something before we were forced to do something, because it changes the dynamics
That's great.
tremendously.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I have one more question, probably for Lynn. And I only know this because we're building the preschool right now. Will this project require builder's risk insurance? No.
With Gary, it does not require us to have it.
No, not the city.
Not the city.
Okay.
We already have insurance. It does require, and that's a great project you're doing, because I remember they presented it, but it's a little different circumstance.
Yeah.
The contractor, PACE, is required to provide us with insurance and certificate of insurance, and I have seen it. Gary has it as part of the package, not only the deck sheet that names us as additional insureds in their insurance policy, so we are named, I just saw it today, including the 24 pages of attachments and endorsements that are included with, which we typically don't get, but we got those as well. So there is an
Okay.
insurance policy, and that was part of the requirements of the bid package as well.
So
Okay.
that builder's risk is carried by the contractor. on
Correct.
this.
And we're
Okay.
named as an additional insured.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you. Nope.
All right, I think we're ready to proceed forward. Somebody wants to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the wastewater treatment plant expansion project agreement and the notice to proceed for the selected contractor, Pace Construction.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Next item, Matt, no, this one's Joanna, I'm sorry. Approval and execution of the secondary plat for Malarkey Roofing Subdivision, Planning Director Joanna Tennell.
Good evening. So today's request is a little bit different than the normal. Typically with subdivision development, you have the corresponding public improvements being accepted along with the sureties. With the Malarkey Roofing project, there are a number of things that are going on all at one time. We have the Paul Hand Boulevard project on the north side with the relocation of utilities there. And then also with the extension of Essex Drive that is being completed by Malarkey. That is under an economic development agreement that is already in place with the city, so we have a lot of assurances there on completion. With the utilities that are needing to provide extensions to Malarkey for the construction of their project, they have been needing to acquire separate recorded easements. And these easements would be in the same location as our platted drainage and utility easements or our dedicated right-of-way. So since this is kind of a joint project with all of the public improvements, we are requesting that in this particular case, that we just approve and execute the secondary plat with conditions. So for ease, I did put it in writing. Upon final review of the revised secondary plat by staff and legal counsel, we are requesting the Board of Public Works to conditionally approve and execute the secondary plat for Malarkey Roofing Subdivision for the purpose of dedicating the right-of-way of Essex Drive to the City of Franklin, establishing the drainage and utility easements, and to create Lot 1 and Block A, with the condition that no public improvements are being accepted at this time. Public improvements with the corresponding required sureties will be forwarded for the board's acceptance at a future date. That's the request.
And this is such a unique project, and it's different, that it's really critical that we get this done so that we get our right-of-way. I mean, if you recall, the road was already built privately by them and then dedicated to us. If we typically build the road ourselves, we do the right-of-way at that time and easements, but because we didn't have to spend that $2 million.
That one was 3.
3 million, okay. Because we didn't have to spend that $3 million, we really need to get those right-of-ways recorded. And the
Okay.
only way to do that is this way. So then a logical question would be, how do we know that they're going to do the utility improvements? Well, they've already invested $3 million in the road. I'm confident they will do that, and if they don't, we'll have our right-of-way and our road anyway. And we want those types of improvements going into right-of-way and easements that we control. And the only way to do that is to get a plat approved.
Okay. So, and I'll just say, Malarkey has been great to work with, our planning department, I've been told. They've been really good.
They've been wonderful.
We estimate, I don't know exactly what the road costs, but it was early on, a couple of years ago, that the road that they're building with utilities is about $3 million. And then I would also add that Paul Hand Road, that we'll talk about here in just a little bit, that we built, they gave $2 million towards that project, and we'll see what that is coming out to here in a little bit. I think it's under $2 million. So Malarkey has done pretty good with the city roads to help with all the traffic. That is a wide 3-lane road to make it safe with the truck traffic that the roofing company will have. Just wanted to say that, so.
Thank you.
Tina, you got any questions or?
No, I just needed somebody to dumb that down for me. I was not following any of that, so thank you.
Well, it's different, but
Yeah.
but it's in the city and the city's best interest to have them in our right of way, which we control.
Okay, great.
Typically, the public improvements and all the utilities are installed prior to construction of a site. But due to the magnitude and size of this project, those are allowed to go concurrently, which is permitted by our ordinance. So that's another one of the differences than what we normally see.
Okay, thank you. All right, I will move to approve and execute the secondary plat for Malarkey Roofing subdivision.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And now, Matt McElroy, you have items 5 through 7, and you're going to run with it.
Yep. First two are easy. First one is requesting the following subdivision performance bonds be released for Kingsbridge Section 1 and 2. As far as Kingsbridge Section 1, release 5361489 for erosion control in the amount of $246,106.20. For release for Kingsbridge Section 2, 5870654 for survey monuments, the amount of $4,500. And then 5769465 for earthwork within a regulated floodway limits, $20,496. To replace those, I'm requesting the following subdivision maintenance bonds be accepted for Kingsbridge Section 1 and 2. Section 1, 5876629 for erosion control, $51,272.13. And then for Kingsbridge Section 2, 5876630 for survey monuments, $937.50. For the earthwork one, we aren't replacing it with the maintenance in this. It'll be replaced with earthwork for Section 5, once they complete the improvements out on site. So that is the first request.
Follow that one?
Yeah. I'll make a motion to release the subdivision performance bonds for Kingsbridge Section 1 and 2, and also accept the maintenance bonds for Kingsbridge Section 1 and 2.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next one is for the Winterfield subdivision on behalf of Four Star Real Estate Group. They are requesting the following subdivision performance bond be accepted for Winterfield Section 3. So this is the third section in their subdivision that's going to probably start this winter or early next year. Performance Section 3, CMS 0359169 for erosion control, $347,228.16.
I'll make a motion to accept the subdivision performance bond for Winterfield Section 3.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, this next one is requesting the acceptance and approval of two change orders for the Paulahan Boulevard project. The first change order, this is for changed field conditions, including the perpetuation of existing farm tile drain pipes that were either destroyed or removed during the project by either our project or even the Malarkey. And then also the addition of two farm field entrances to allow for farmers to access for cultivating anything for their crops that weren't included in the original plans. So this change order cost $64,715.81. I'll go over the total after. Change order 2, this change order was a change in asphalt material used for paving the road. The material was changed from a Category 2 58S binder to a Category 3 50H binder. The 58S binder is typically used for standard and light traffic volumes. The 58H binder is used for heavy and high volume roadways. This change was came from all the heavy trucks we're expecting for Malarkey and then future developments out there. That cost was an increase of $63,401.10. So with the original contract price of $1,494,000, with these two change orders, it brings the overall contract price to $1,622,116.91, or 8.4% increase. And also, we discussed earlier that Malarkey provided $2 million for the construction of this project. So,
And also what we did with Malarkey, we were thinking it was going to be around the $2 million range. And in the agreement we had, anything that was left would go back to Malarkey. So they will get they'll get a break on this
refund.
one. And I just want to point this out to Carter. Carter, this is your dad's change order that we said we don't like change orders. But it was a change order we needed. I'm just a little bit, I guess I had the question of, and I asked you this earlier, Matt, why was it not in the bid to start with the asphalt?
Binder.
The binder that we changed?
well, I mean, when the project was originally being designed, we didn't anticipate Malarkey coming in or any of the heavy traffic that we're expecting with them. So with that not being in the bid, we talked it over with the contractor. We felt that the 58H is a better binder. It's a new material that NDOT approved this past year. Correct me if I'm wrong. So it's just a better product for the amount of traffic that we're going to get out there. So that's why we decided to change that material.
And I agree. I think it was a good change, so thank you for that, looking out.
Yeah, I think both of these were necessary changes for the project.
Okay.
And this project's closed out, right? So this will be it?
No,
No.
they actually, I was told that they paved surface today, so now we have striping and signing left, and then grading and seeding, sodding, and they expect to hopefully open the road by next Friday. And weather dependent, obviously, is what I always say, so.
I think the question Tina was asking there, we don't expect any more big change orders, correct?
I don't think so. From what I've been told, that we might even see a reduction in we got a topsoil change order probably, but overall, I think we might see another reduction for material that might be underrun. So there might still be one, maybe a final one to close out doing the balancing, or a topsoil one, like Brad said, so,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
I will move to approve and execute change orders 1 and 2 for the Paul Hand Boulevard Improvements Project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Matt. Okay, next item, approval of construction contracts for the owner-occupied rehab grant. Community Development Director, Krista Linke.
Thank you. I am happy to have Whitney here tonight. So she's been working on these with Lynn, and I'll just turn it over to Whitney.
Yes, so in front of you are 4 contracts for what I call Group 1 of the OOR homeowners that we are going to assist with CDBG funding. Lynn has been kind enough to help draft this contract, but we need your approval tonight before we move forward with construction. We have collected signatures from the contractors and the homeowners, so the mayor is the third party for tonight's signature. And just as a an overview of the program so far. So the total bid amounts for these 4 homes were $43,425. We have approximately $263,435 left to spend. So the average bid price has been close to $11,000. So when we first applied, our first goal was to assist 20 homeowners, and depending on the various needs, we know we have a $25,000 limit, but I just wanted to update you on how we're spending for this program.
So the link for the contracts and the other information is not working on the agenda. But the main thing was the letter for the release of funds, and then also for approval of the invoice for services for professional services. So those will actually be paid by the Franklin Development Corporation because of the match being provided by the Redevelopment Commission for this grant, but it was a pass-through to the Franklin Development Corporation. So I will pay that through the Franklin Development Corporation, but I think you still need Board of Works approval just on that invoice. And then the contracts, I did ask the clerk's office not to attach those, just because we are trying to keep the names of the homeowners and their addresses from being advertised all over our agendas. This is an income requirement type grant, and so there are some kind of personal information there that we're not, I mean, we can generally say there have been 4 homeowners and the amounts and the work that's being done and provide information, but just for privacy, we're not advertising who the recipients are.
And then I would add that there are documents, once you approve these, that the mayor will be asked to sign, in particular, that the property owner and the city would record a lien on the property, so that these folks that are getting the funds will do the repairs, and we will sign off on them. I'm generalizing. And then there is a lien on the property of a restrictive covenant that says that they're not going to flip it, they're going to live there for the year, that they're not, for lack of a better word, they're not turning around and giving it to somebody else that doesn't qualify, those kinds of restrictions, a restrictive covenant. Whitney was kind enough to provide that to me today. I do have 2 parts of that form lien that I'm going to ask that we try to revise. Specifically, one had us repaying the money to the grant if they failed to comply with the restrictions, called a recapture. So if they do something they're not supposed to do within that 1 year, Okra can recapture the money, but it also has us in there being responsible to pay that, and that doesn't feel right. And the other is the payment of attorney's fees. In the event that Okra has to do that, I don't want to be responsible for that. Am I saying this on the record? I don't want to pay attorney's fees. But I don't think the city should pay those fees either. So those are 2 things in the lien. Not something I don't think we can't work around, but that's the only reason I raised that today. So we could approve these forms subject to review and acceptance of the lien, because once the money goes out, we're going to put a lien on with these restrictive covenants on the home.
And I have the blank copies of the contracts, but I think you've got them
I gave them
signed, or Jan
to
had.
Jan. Perfect.
So they've already been signed by the contractor and the homeowners, so they're waiting for our signatures, so those are here.
Okay, so I guess I have a question here for Lynn. So if you're saying you hope we can work through the changes, does that mean we could pass
Yeah,
tonight
approve it.
contingency of?
Approve it subject to agreement on the lien language. And the lien's a good idea. The lien's a good idea. This way we know that whoever is taking the money, A, is doing the improvement, and B, doing the improvement for themselves. So it's not a rental, it's not a leasehold, it's their actual homeowners. And I have no doubt that they are.
Right.
Having seen their applications, these are going to help those folks. So you could approve these documents subject to legal review of the lien restrictive covenants.
There you go. I really appreciate Tina making these motions.
Yeah, me too.
I'm gonna mess this one up. I have a question before I do, though. So if the city of Franklin's putting a lien on their home, Doesn't that automatically make us responsible to Okra?
The city of Franklin isn't putting the lien on the home. It's called a lien restrictive covenant. And it's for the benefit of Okra, who's the grant administrator. Or,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're the grant administrator, where the grant funds are coming from. So it's more like a homeowners association covenant.
Oh.
And so Okra can go in, and if they find that somebody has not done what they're supposed to do. Now, mind you, it's a 1 year, so we're not talking about in
Yeah.
perpetuity. But for some reason does it, and then turns around, tries to sell it, they could go back in and claw back that money if they want. So we are on that lien. The homeowner has to agree to it, we have to agree to it. And that's the only two parts of the lien that, I don't mind them getting money clawed back from the homeowner. I don't mind them, the homeowner having to pay the fees associated with it, but I'm not sure why we would when
Okay.
we've provided this service.
And us having this lien doesn't put us in that position to have to?
No. no.
Okay.
Well, if we revise the language, that's my
Okay.
point, yes.
Good luck on that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll give it a stab. I'll move to approve the construction contracts for the owner-occupied rehab grant, subject to legal review and potential revisions on the liens.
Perfect.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you,
Thank
Whitney.
you. Thanks.
Okay, next item, Cemetery Headstone Project Phase 1 and through 1, 2, and 3, status report, Director of Parks and Recreation, Chip Warner.
Thank you, Mayor. After each phase of the Cemetery Headstone Project, I want to come and give you a little presentation so you at least know what your money's going for. I brought visual aids tonight, so you can feel free to look at the screen. And this is kind of where it started at. So just to recap where we've been the last couple years, the mayor came to me and says, hey, you know, is there a way that we can start to fix some of these headstones that he sees? Because Lord knows, we all know he drives around everywhere and sees everything. And so he came to me and says, hey, is there a way we can start this project? So this is kind of where it started. It's a great picture of the starting point, if that helps. There are several, at last count I took, and this has been 4 or 5 years ago when we bought the Masonic home section of the cemetery, there were pretty close to 15,000 monuments out there. We have obviously gotten more since then. So now we're talking over 15,000 headstones that are out there. Some of these, one of them I kind of got a close-up view for you to see that it's from 1823. So we're talking about headstones that aren't from this century. Some of them obviously have problems over the years. I don't think they were designed to, nobody thought they were going to last 200 years. So just think about that when you're buying one in the future. So this is what you saw out there. You saw there's, some things are in rows, some things are leaning over, some things, foundations were destroyed. Some of these headstones had just toppled over. And the fact is that, a headstone from the 1800s just doesn't have anybody that's coming over here and is going to fix this stuff, if that makes sense. That's the charge I got from the mayor a few years ago is, hey, how can we do a better job or get this solved? What you see is some of these that we've identified in all these phases. And each phase usually included sometimes a little over 100 headstones, but typically about 100 headstones. We went through 3, so there's probably been a little more than 300 of these done so far. What that requires is us, most of the time, is to remove the headstone that you see. They'll redo the foundation base of it, and then we'll put it back in place. What you see, some of these small ones on the right, not too hard to do. When we get into some of these other pictures, you're going to find out that we had to get a crane to move some of these because they're just so big and heavy. If you now we're getting to the before and afters. These are my favorites. What you see before is that's the after of this headstone. So it started out broken on the ground and barely had anything there, and then now it's upright again. and it has a nice foundation on it that hopefully will last way past anybody in this room, let's hope. But that was typically when we come and say, hey, we'd like $50,000 for a headstone project, this is what we're talking about. You see this one sunk before, now after you see the new foundation underneath it. So it's basically trying to prolong the life of these foundations on these headstones. Like I said, this one is I love this one because this is the 1823 one, if I can't see that far, but you saw before, it's half into the ground when you get it out. And this is the perfect picture of what we're doing out there. It's sunk so bad, and when you put it into a new foundation, this is what it's supposed to look like. And this is probably what it originally looked like. So there's a lot of these out there. We've touched 300 of over 15,000. Some people may go out there and be like, wow, have they done anything? But if you know where these are, you can very easily see that, wow, there has been a great improvement done. This is another one that was broken, that we were able to put a new foundation on and then put it back up onto the new foundation. This one, there again, you see it leaning on the left, and now it's back up right on the right. A lot of great progress has been done in this. I was joking with the mayor early on, we could probably do this into the next century, to be quite honest with you, because there's that many of them that are just going to keep doing this kind of stuff. So we're doing the best we can. We're trying to find out, trying to go into sections at a time, so we don't skip around hodgepodge everywhere and then forget where we were in 20 years from now. That's quick in a nutshell what's been going on at the cemetery, so you get a good idea. I'll be the first to admit I was skeptical when the mayor first came to me and says, hey, can you do that? I'm like, well, okay, yeah. And it really is, it really has turned out nice. So he deserves all the credit. I don't deserve any. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, since we're right here, and I thought, what the heck, I already got you captured. Over the last week or so, the cemetery roads have gotten refurbished or seal coated. And there's also been a couple of roads that have been paved that weren't paved in 2012, the last time we did them. If you haven't got a chance to go out and look at it yet, major improvement to the cemetery. Not only will it extend the life of the roads, but aesthetically, it's very nice looking. The next 5 pictures that I'll just give you, and I didn't take these pictures, Les deserves all the credit for the pictures. I thought when I saw these, there's no reason for me to go out there. These are about as good as they can get. So if you do get a chance, go out and take a look at it if you would. I just want you to know that the money that we are investing in the cemetery is actually making a difference. I tell you that because next year we're going to do, it's already in the budget for next year that you approved for $50,000 for the next phase of the headstone project. And maybe we'll get lucky and we'll find 50,000 more, and I'll come back to you and ask you for another one. You never know. But that was quick in a nutshell. I just wanted to see what we've been doing. So.
Okay, and just real quick, the city council is the one that approved the funds, and we are going to show this again at the city council, so they see what they're approving, where the money goes. They give the Board of Works the funding, and then the Board of Works is able to spend it in a responsible way. So I think that's been pretty responsible. And one more note I want to put so people don't get the wrong impression. We're not really responsible for the headstones, but you get to a point like those old ones, there's nobody around to take care of that. So sooner or later, somebody has to do that. But the families are supposed to take care of their own, and they do a great job of that. And we try to accommodate and help because it's very sentimental to people, and I understand. I have family buried there myself. So.
Yeah, and I'll add, Mayor, because Chip and I have been out there frequently looking at, most of these are 1800s, and there just isn't anybody. But the fact that we've started doing it has helped our workers out there that aren't having to drive around and getting out. So we are becoming more efficient in the manner in which we can take care of the remaining facilities because these are now up. We don't have to stop. We don't have to pull the weeds and that kind of stuff. So we have benefited from it as well.
Thank you, Chip.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, next item, request approval of the environmental restrictive covenant, City Attorney Lynn Gray, and Director of Parks and Rec, Chip Horner.
Well, this is going to be one where Chip and I are going to ask you, we're going to withdraw it, but I do want to give you some context as to why it's here and why we're now going to withdraw it. Very briefly, there are certain properties in the state of Indiana that are under the governance of the Indiana Department of Environment, DNR, and/or the Department of Interior at the federal government level. And those types of properties, when they're under those jurisdictions, oftentimes are floodways, floodplains, restricted areas for wildlife, restricted areas for certain kinds of trees and plantings and things like that. An entity can't get into those restricted areas unless DNR allows you to do that. And it is frequent that because of certain public improvement projects, a part of protected area will be disturbed in some way. And what DNR then says is if you disturb some area of property, we will allow you to do that, but you're going to have to find other property of like type to replace it with. So this one goes back to, Chip and I, we've spent a lot of time going back in old archives. This one goes back to a project that happened at Hance Dam in Nineveh, Indiana. They were facing a dam failure, and as a result of that, they needed to go in. I know, a dam failure. You can put that in a lot of these areas, right? They were facing a failure, and as a result of that, they had to reconstruct their dam, and they had to get into floodway. The DNR told them they could do that, but they had to find mitigation property to substitute for the area that they had in the dam. I'll give you a perfect example. If you recall, on 44, when they put the roundabout in out here, the Indiana State Department, or what is it?
NDOT.
No, not DNR. NDOT. NDOT improved State Road 144, put that roundabout in there. They got into some environmentally protected areas when they were doing those bridge and the roundabout. So they came to us and said, we've used about an acre of floodway out there. Can we put an acre of like kind here? And if you walk on the trail out towards the cemetery, you may see a wildlife area that has flowers and says, do not mow and do not disturb. That was a mitigation exchange. This was the same kind of thing from Hance Dam in Nineveh, that they had to find mitigation property, and they came to the city of Franklin years ago under the supervision of Franklin College and gave mitigation property, or created a mitigation area next to our park, Chip, out Blue Heron Park.
Correct.
So that's a long way of saying, when that was all done back in 14, 15 years ago, one of the final things that needed to be done was to put a restriction on the property by Blue Heron Park that says you can't disturb it. And that creates an environmental restrictive covenant. Franklin College said, we can't find those environmental restrictive covenants, so Chip and I made one up. And lo and behold, last Friday, they found the environmental restrictive covenants that were done in 2014. So this request is being withdrawn from you, but there is one out there that's already been done, and that's why there will never be a development next to that area of Blue Heron Park. Fair, Chip?
That was perfect,
Okay,
actually.
so we are withdrawing it, but you should know that there is something out there that's in exchange for, and the people in Nineveh, at Hance Dam are happy because their dam works. So, there you go.
Do we need to make a
You don't-
motion to withdraw?
I'll just withdraw it.
Okay.
I'll just withdraw it, but there is a restrictive covenant in place.
Okay, thank you for the
Is it on the
explanation.
west side of Blue Heron Park?
It
It
is.
is.
Far west side?
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you, I'm sure we've all been
seen-
to the very back of Blue Heron Park on the loop.
Yeah.
It's even further back there. You'll never even go back there. So-
Yeah, you won't, and if people came and said, why don't you tear that down, or why don't you put something up there, we wouldn't, because it's part of that exchange.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next item, last item. Request approval of the 2026 budgets, wastewater treatment plant, sewer billing, sewer maintenance, MS4, and the trash and garbage. The city council, on the part of the budget that they pass, is the payroll part, the wages. This is what is under the Board of Works. So that's why the Board of Works can pass this, and it doesn't take 3 meetings, 3 readings like it does for our regular budgets. It's a budget that we can control. And also, if there's money needed at a certain time, it takes 1 meeting to move money through the Board of Works that manages that. So Tina, you got some questions there?
No, I do not.
Okay. So we would need a motion to approve as presented.
I'll move to approve the 2026 budgets for wastewater treatment plant, sewer billing, sewer maintenance, MS4, and trash and garbage as presented.
Overall sewer and stormwater as well?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. There isn't any other business. We'll go to department reports, and since Chip talked a while, Sally, we'll start with you.
Just a couple things. We've used this dry weather to do some sewer cleaning, good opportunity for that. We invested a little money, bought some new, a bigger hose and a different nozzle. That means nothing to you, but it's allowed us to really cut some roots and do some work down in the park. It's slow and steady, but we're really making some progress.
And
So,
if we were paying a contractor to do that, it
would be expensive.
our guys
Yeah.
have been doing some of the work and saved wastewater treatment plants some funds.
Right, we borrowed a couple heads to try these different nozzles out, and we ended up spending some money. And with the new truck that we got a few years ago, but, you know, they're using it, so it's all good. Time-consuming, but good, so.
Okay, thank you. Joanna?
Nothing this evening?
Nothing. Brett?
Nothing, sir.
Krista?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Rick?
Nothing, sir.
Sherry?
Could make up something. Nothing additional.
Chief?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Chief? Chip, anything to add?
Thanks, I needed more time, thanks.
He paid us all.
Just kidding. I do have a couple of things. This Saturday, October 11th, is the last concert of the year at the amphitheater. It is Hank Ruff, which is a country artist, and he'll be there. It starts at 7. The Halloween Town event is coming up on October the 25th, so that's Trick Your Trunk and Trick Your Town and all kinds of good stuff that go on during that event. And I have been watching the weather, and I did see that it's going to get into the 30s in about 4 days from now and at night, which is code for all those beautiful red flowers that you see all over town are getting ready to be yanked out because they're all going to droop in about 4 days. So just wanted to give everybody a heads up about that too. That was it.
Thank you, Chip. Ken?
I don't have anything tonight, Mayor, other than the fact that this weekend was amazing downtown. Me and my wife came down with grandkids and had a blast, and appreciate everyone. That was very well done.
Thank you, sir. Tina?
Nothing, sir.
Lynn?
No,
Nothing?
I've said enough.
Jan? Tara? And I have nothing, just to say thank you to all the city workers that worked your tails off. Good job. Thank you. And I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was a lot of